we are looking at the effects of compost tea on soil health. The Gold Ridge Resource Conservation District is partnering with a pear and apple farmer in Sebastopol, California, to study the effects of microbe-rich vermicompost tea applied to the orchard floor. This Healthy Soils demonstration project is funded by the California Department of Food and Agriculture. We're asking the question, can compost tea sprayed on the orchard floor have a beneficial effect on soil health and reduce greenhouse gas emissions? We hypothesize that by adding microbes to the soil, they will stimulate the growth of the fruit tree roots and other plants' roots. And if we can stimulate root growth, we can increase soil carbon cycling. In this experiment, the farmer brews a liquid tea made from vermicompost and sprays that on the orchard floor in the spring and fall growing seasons. The tea is sprayed on rows that have been cover cropped and disked, as well as on rows that were mulched with pruned branches. Then, our partners at San Francisco State University test the soil to assess the soil's chemistry, such as the nutrients detected, the soil's physical characteristics, such as water infiltration capacity, and the exchange of gases between the soil and the atmosphere. If we find that there is an increase in the amount of carbon being locked up in the ground, or a reduction in greenhouse gases being emitted from the soil, then we will feel successful. Today we'll hear from our consultant, August York of Intuit Ag Consulting, who can help us better understand the science of compost tea. And we'll also hear from our partners at San Francisco State University, who conduct a large part of the soil data collection and analysis.
I'm August York. I'm here at EARTHseed Farms. I help farmers implement biological farming systems into their practices and operations. I was brought into this project by the RCD to help them implement compost tea and develop a system for measuring the benefits and effects. Here at EARTHseed Farms we are comparing treated to non-treated rows with compost tea, measuring changes in organic matter and gas exchange, partnering with San Francisco State to monitor if we see differences in carbon release where we've applied the compost tea versus where we have not. Compost tea is when you take high quality compost and add it into aerated water, and add in food sources, and over a 24-hour period, the microorganisms then get extracted into the water and expand exponentially in numbers. The inputs we're using here at EARTHseed Farms for the compost tea are a 100-gallon brewer from Growing Solutions out of Eugene, Oregon, and they have a unique patented micronized air bubblers at the bottom of their tanks that provide a ton of dissolved oxygen in the water. So our goal in compost tea is basically three things: very high quality finished compost, in this case coming from vermicompost, which comes from worms, high amounts of dissolved oxygen in the water while you're brewing, and then a high quality food source. In this case, we are again using something coming from Growing Solutions where you don't have any simple sugars in the brew during the brewing process. You have only complex carbohydrates and broad spectrum trace minerals. Our goal with this is to try and support the wide range of diversity you find naturally from this compost, support that during the brewing process to exponentiate numbers and not lose diversity along the way. If you use simple sugars during the brewing process, what can happen is certain species can utilize that sugar faster than other ones. Total numbers will spike, but your diversity will narrow over time. Farmers can use compost tea to both foliar spray and also apply to the soil. Probably the main benefits we see from using compost tea when applied to the soil are increased root mass of the plants that they are treating. The theory behind using compost tea is that the microorganisms, when applied to the soil, are excreting enzymes, and those enzymes then break apart naturally occurring rocks, which turn into nutrients into the available form that plants can then utilize. As you know, farmers are putting down nutrients, there's natural nutrients occurring in the soil, they're adding more nutrients every season onto that, and our goal with applying compost tea, either through fertigation or through foliar spraying it on the ground, is to get those microorganisms to release nutrients.
So in this particular study, what we're really interested in is the application of compost tea and what that does to the soil chemistry and the soil biology, and ultimately what that means for emissions from the soil of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. At San Francisco State University in the Department of Geography and Environment, and in particular in our bioclimatology lab, we study greenhouse gas exchanges between ecosystems and the atmosphere. There's a lot of work being done in this area, but there's a lot of monitoring that needs to happen for us to really understand the relative costs and benefits of the different methods being proposed. In general, practices such as different types of tilling, different types of cover crop, and different treatments of amendments such as compost or compost tea, or different agricultural products that are used as amendments on the soil. In addition to the compost tea, no compost tea, there are a couple of different treatment types. Every second row has a cover crop on it, and then every other row has prunings put down as a mulch onto the soil. So we're also interested in those two practices by comparison as well, in terms of the nature of the soil over time and the nature and magnitude of greenhouse gas emissions from those soils. Essentially, yeah, I'm intrigued in anything we can do to help reduce increasing the greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere.
We're looking forward to sharing our findings with you at public workshops, presentations, and farm tours. Reach out to the Gold Ridge Resource Conservation District